Welcome everyone to the 6th round of the FIDE Candidates 2026. We have on our screen Divya Deshmukh, who's going to her game with her mother, and she is on 2 points out of 5 with 4 draws and 1 loss. She's looking for her first win in the tournament. She's playing black against Bibisara Assaubayeva, who enters in along with Jawokir Sindaro, who's playing in the Open, and Mukdin Madamino. Bibisara, after the start of the tournament, was leading with 2.5 points, but then suffered a loss in the 5th round against Katrina Lagno, and now with 2.5 points out of 5, she is looking forward to again scoring a win and joining up with the leaders. It's going to be a great battle between two young talents out there, Bibisara versus Divya Deshmukh, and this, dear friends, is the ChessBase mobile app recap of the day. Do download the app from the link in the description. Bibisara opens the game with pawn to d4, and Divya Deshmukh plays pawn to d5, and now Bibisara goes pawn to c4. We have the queen's gambit on the board, and Divya plays e6. The queen's gambit declined. Queen's gambit declined has now turned into a very potent weapon in general with the black pieces against an ambitious white opponent, because while white tries their best to do something, oh, by the way, the semi-Slav is here on the board with c6 played. Bishop g5, Bibisara going in for something sharp, but Divya says, I'll play the Cambridge Springs with knight bd7. So I was talking about this kind of opening where black is very solid, but white tries to put pressure and black gets their chance. Now queen a5 not only pins the knight but also looks at the bishop. cd5 taken. The other main move here is knight d2, but cd, knight takes d5, pinning the knight here, and now rook to c1 played. Divya Deshmukh is generally very well prepared in the opening. She takes on c3. If rook takes c3, there's bishop b4 pinning the rook, so pawn takes makes a lot of sense. Taking the pawn on a2 is a little bit risky because of bishop d3 and castles, so bishop a3 played, attacking the rook here. The rook gets a bit uncomfortable on c2, but okay, it's fine. Rook on c2, and Divya plays pawn to c5. The other move here is b6 possible, but c5 is fine. Bishop d3, and this has been seen before in the game between Vincent Keimer and Magnus Carlsen. Magnus was white. It happened in India in the Tata Steel Chess India Rapid and Blitz. Takes on d4, pawn takes d4. You would have loved to take with the c pawn, by the way, but the pawn is pinned here, so e takes d4, and b6 played by Divya, trying to trade off this very powerful bishop. Bishop e4 played, attacking the rook in the corner. Now that rook can get a bit trapped. Rook b8. You will see that Bibisara is taking her time for the moves. Bishop f4. Is the rook trapped here? Does it not have any squares to go to? Well, there's only one move that Divya has, and of course she's well prepped. Bishop b7. If you take the rook, I take your bishop, attack the rook. Next move, this falls. So that's the reason why bishop takes b7 taken by Bibisara, and now rook takes b7. In the Carlsen game, Magnus had played queen e2 against Vincent and had gone on to win with the white pieces. Queen to d3 played. Now Bibisara just brings her queen up. Castles here, maybe castles for white as well. So what white wants to do is play c4 and have these hanging pawns in the center. Black would love to put pressure on these pawns, maybe with rook c8 and so on. So rook c8 played, putting pressure here, and pawn to c4, expanding in the center. The queen looks at the bishop, and there is a little bit of pressure on the c4 point as well. Knight to f8. So the knight goes back. The knight could go to g6. And Bibisara now plays her queen to e4, attacking the rook on b7. Queen a6. Divya is putting pressure on c4. I actually love this position because while it's even, it's so unbalanced. It's like both sides have their trump cards and the one who plays better would win. h4, I like this move a lot. h5, h6 on the cards to soften up the black king. And Divya goes rook e7. Oh, that's slightly weird move because you generally would want to put your rook on d7. But I think there's something that Divya has on her mind. Firstly, she wants to win a pawn with rook takes c4 because now the rook is no longer hanging on b7. So Bibisara comes back to d7, d3. And now the rook goes to d7. Pinning the d pawn and h5 played. Should we go h6 here? But then knight e5 and white is actually doing really well. So bishop d6 played by Divya. She's under pressure but she's making good moves. She brings her bishop back to d6. And now bishop takes d6, rook takes d6, taken. And h6 played. So definitely if you play the move g6, everything gets weakened around the king. So Divya boldly snatches the pawn even though it opens up her king and the knight jumps to e5. Bibisara Assaubayeva is playing great chess and maintaining good time on the clock. Now Divya goes knight g6. She wants Bibisara to take so that she can improve her structure and be clearly better with an extra pawn. Of course, Bibisara doesn't want to take. Knight g4 makes a lot of sense. She goes queen e3. Eyeing the pawn on h6 and queen comes back to b7 here. Divya improves the position of her queen, pawn to c5. Well, I mean, if you would have taken here, d4 was hanging. That's the problem. So c5, rook to d5 played and c6 even. The pawn is a passer and a very strong pawn. Divya goes queen e7 now. Putting her queen close to the king. The game is heating up. Both the players down to their last 10 minutes on the clock. f4 played. And rook c7 blocking the pawn. Divya has only 5 minutes left. There's 30-second increment per move, but they have to reach move 40 to get 30 extra minutes. g3, they are on move 30 right now. g3 played. And black is slightly better, but it's not so clear how to make progress. h5, h4 maybe. Rook d6 go back. She goes queen b4. She's attacking the pawn. On d4, rook to c4 played. And now Divya can simply go back to d6. She goes back to e7. It's a small change in plan for Divya. Should she make a draw now? Queen b4 because she's been fighting hard. She's also got a slightly pleasant position. Rook c4, queen e7. They've repeated twice, and if Bibisara plays rook c2 now, she can already claim a threefold repetition. I mean, she can claim a photographic draw for the same position arising 3 times. She's looking at a score sheet. She goes rook c2 and she's like, let me not go and call the arbiter. Let Divya do that. And Divya does not go queen b4. She says, I want to fight on. She goes queen d8. She gets up from the board. She looks at the screen. How many moves are left? 6 more moves, Divya. f5 played. Opening up the king's side. The rook has opened up. The queen has opened up. And now Divya takes on e5. I like this move. Takes, and now maybe queen g5, keeping everything under control. She goes rook d1. A nice move. Trying to trade off the rooks. Rook f2 played. And that's a mistake. Maybe something like queen e2, rook c3. These are better moves. Rook f2 is actually just dropping a pawn. But Divya takes on f1 first. She could have just taken on c6, but it was a tough decision with the rooks lined up this way. Rook takes f1 and now queen g5. A nice move, offering a trade of queens, but queen c3 defends the pawn. But Bibisara blunders. Somehow she's missed something. I don't know what. Maybe she's missed the fact that there is no mate. Here rook takes c6 is hanging. Can Divya find it with just 30 seconds on the clock? This is the 39th move. She finds it. Rook takes c6. Very, very good move. There's no check here. The queen controls it. f6 played as the 40th move. Final mistake. She wants to threaten a mate, but rook c8 stops it. And maybe one could imagine that rook c8, rook d1 is a checkmate here, but just king h8 and queen g8. Yes, Divya finds it. Rook c8 on the board. She plays it, she gets up from the board, 40 moves are done, both players get 30 extra minutes. The sad part for Bibisara is that her tricky play has backfired here. King h8 now. And black is totally winning. Divya finds it. King h8 played. And now king g2. Well, white is 2 pawns down. And with rook g8 coming in and h5, h4, this is already completely lost. h5 played by Divya Deshmukh. And Divya is eyeing her first win at the FIDE Candidates 2026. The queen goes back to d2, offering a trade. Well, this rook endgame should also very likely win, but Divya keeps the queens. It's like, your king is more exposed than mine, and I want to keep the queens on the board. Rook e1, h4 played. And now rook to e3 played. And rook g8. Nice move there. Bibisara goes in, trying to attack f7 and hoping to get some play there. You can take already on g3, but there's also a very nice move. Queen f4 attacking the rook, and she finds it. Well done, Divya. And she's attacking. Rook takes g3. The rook is hanging, and Bibisara resigns. Divya scores her first win in this tournament, and this she's managed to do with some wonderful play, fighting play. I'm especially impressed with that moment where she could have taken a draw with the threefold repetition. Her opponent was ready for it, but she fought on and she scored the win in her favor, and that just goes to show what a fighter she is. She's now 1 point behind the leader of the tournament, Anna Muzychuk, and in joint second position along with Vaishali and a few others, and we hope that she manages to keep playing well in this tournament.